there are secrets that the rich keep from the rest of us. And that is the way it has always been, and that is the way that it will continue to be. Because the rich need you to work for their empire, and the only way to do that is to keep you in the dark. Today, however, I'm going to shed some light on these hidden secrets. In fact, I'm going to expose 5 money rules that got Elon Musk his wealth. And if you follow these rules, you too can become a part of the rich class. So let's get started. Rule number 1. The safeguard rule. In Elon Musk's early years, his family was somewhat wealthy, but he was still considered to be a part of the working class. In 1989, he worked odd jobs like at a farm and at a lumber mill. So like you, he got up every morning, dragged himself out of bed, finally getting to work, only to get home with maybe a few hours to spare of the rest of his day. Now, most people do this routine every single day for decades of their life. And they do that so that they can provide for themselves and for their families, like getting food on the table, getting a roof over their heads, providing electricity, water, internet, and maybe, just maybe, after they're done of decades of working this full-time job, they might have a retirement saved up. But see, this is where Elon Musk took a different route. He did something different than most people, and it started with the rule of safeguarding, which enabled him to let go of that 9-to-5 mindset and continue on to financial freedom. So what is the rule of safeguarding? It's about disciplining yourself to a budget that protects your money from things that chip away at it. So this could entail like a really nice new car that you want to buy that it would probably take about 6 years to pay off. Or it could include a really nice house that you probably don't need and that your partner really wants and is pressuring you to get. Or it could be that you have that keep up with the Jones mentality and you're just trying to get really nice things to impress your friends and family. So these are the temptations that you have to resist because they will only keep you from financial freedom. And truly, being smart with your finances and changing your mindset of money is really what separates the rich from the poor. This rule will prevent you from going broke because in the end, you can never really make enough money to make up for bad money management. And what's worse is bad spending habits will only prevent you from taking that savings and investing it into the stock market, and better yet, starting up your own business. So that brings us to rule number 2, which is the rule of leveraging. While Elon began with an hourly job, he didn't remain there. He understood a fundamental principle early on that spending a life working hourly trades time for money that usually is an unfair exchange set out by an employer. And unless that worker makes a ridiculous amount per hour, they're probably never going to get rich unless maybe at retirement if they know how to invest in their 401k and Roth IRA. And even then, that retirement is only going to be a couple million. You see, the most important resource that we all have is time. And while most decide to live in mediocrity, working a salary or hourly job, the rich, like Elon Musk, do not. Elon figured this out, and that's why he stopped working at those places and found better ways to manage his time. At first, he worked at building the skill of website coding and then started his own business in 1995. He and his partners developed an internet guide with maps, directions, and yellow pages and marketed it to newspapers. It took a lot of time initially, so yes, he worked a lot of late nights on this, but it only took him 4 years to grow that business enough to sell it to make himself personally $22 million. An amount that most people don't even make in a lifetime. So think about all the time and money that he saved just in those 4 first years that he worked his butt off. He no longer had to work towards retirement. He already had it, but he wasn't going to just stop there because that's really not the mindset of a successful person. So with those millions, he could now look beyond his 24 hours to build wealth by leveraging other people's time, skills, and expertise. And he did that by taking those millions and investing it into another company that he created called X.com. This was a company that provided financial service, and it was an email payment company that was one of the first online banks that was federally insured. Now, it eventually turned into PayPal, and it was acquired by eBay in 2002. And when that happened, that transaction alone got Elon Musk $176 million. Now, how did he get that much money out of a publicly owned company in that transaction? I'm going to cover that in one of the later rules, so stick around. So, of course, I think that this mindset of leveraging other people's time and talents followed Elon Musk in his personal life. Once he became more successful, he could be paying people to do things that he didn't have to waste time doing. So this would probably entail like cleaning his house, mowing his lawns, changing his oil, repairing his car. These are things that Elon Musk no longer had to spend his time doing, and therefore that placed him ahead of the 99.9% of us, because he simply had more time and funds to buy more time and money that the ordinary just don't have. So building wealth becomes so much easier once you wrap your head around the idea of capitalizing on time, your own and everyone else's. So hey, really quick before I get to these other rules, guys, if you're really liking this video and you're getting a lot from it, please hit that like button and subscribe to this channel. That would help so much to get this information out to other people. With that, let's move on. Now, this next rule is going to sound a little bit counterintuitive, so really pay attention. So rule number 3, the rule of minimal savings. It's important to have an emergency fund just in case something extreme happens, like a job loss, or maybe your HVAC unit goes out, or you need a new hot water tank, or your vehicle stops working. So in other words, you need about 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up so that whenever there's a rainy day, you have something to fall back on. So while that's true, and that a penny saved is a penny earned, inflation brings a whole nother light on the subject. You see, as you save money in the bank or under your mattress, its value decreases with each new day that passes. So for example, if you had stashed $100 under your mattress 10 years ago, that money would now be worth $73.20 in today's money. And that's why this rule is about having minimal savings, because the value of the dollar diminishes as time passes. Elon understood this, and that's why he did something to battle inflation, and that is what we call investing. Now, investing can take many forms. You can invest in stocks, bonds, index, or mutual funds, including the S&P 500, ETFs, 401k, Roth IRA, cryptocurrency, and real estate. For example, if you invest $1,000 in the S&P 500, which has a historical annual return of 10%, your investment of $1,000 will grow into $2,453 in a period of 10 years. And really, investing is so easy nowadays, you could actually just simply do it from your phone. There's brokers such as Webull, Fidelity, Robinhood, and they provide such an easy way for you to invest your funds. And while I will go into all these different types of investments in a later video, I'm not going to do that today because there's one investment that trumps all of them. Now remember back in the video when I said that I would tell you how Elon Musk got so rich in a single acquisition of his company. Well, now I'm going to tell you how he did it. He did this by simply investing into himself by investing into his own company, which is the single most important and rewarding investment that someone can make. In fact, when his company was acquired in 2002, he owned a grand total of 11.7% of his shares. And going on that note, how many shares of Tesla do you think he owns? Right now, he's sitting on 715 million shares of Tesla, which is 22.3% of that entire company's shares. Now, on a smaller scale, you personally could take all your savings that's beyond the 3 to 6 months of living expenses, and you can invest that into yourself by starting up a business, or maybe even making a social presence, something that will help you to grow wealth in the long run. This arguably has the biggest payout out of any investment that you'll make as long as you're very strategic and you're very serious about your business. Now again, this will take a lot of time initially, but it's going to save you so much time and money in the long run, and you can achieve wealth just like Elon did. So that brings us to rule number 4, which is strategic debt. In 2022, Elon borrowed $13 billion from banks to buy Twitter, or what's now considered X. And while you may or may not agree with his financial decision to do so, he understands the very important difference between good and bad debt. And of course, he leans towards good debt to gain more wealth. And he's not alone in this. Many rich people have done this, where they use good debt as a means of getting more wealth. So to help you understand, bad debt is anything that you borrow money for that depreciates in value. That could be a really nice fancy car, or that could be a nice cool gadget that's really high in tech, or it could be like a fancy couch in your front room. So over time, these things depreciate and lose value, which means that you're paying interest on something that's worth less than the moment that you bought it. However, contrast to that, good debt is when you borrow money to acquire assets that build you, or in other words, it appreciates. So examples of this would be like flipping homes or building a business. Or a really good example of this is borrowing money to buy a home using a mortgage and then renting that home so that you're generating wealth through that rental money, and also that home is appreciating over time. And the key to good debt is that you have to be patient and wait for the right time to sell out and get you back out of debt. So in other words, you're leveraging other people's money to make yourself money. And this could be a really good strategy because you're actually freeing up your own money to make other investments, which compounds the returns. So in general, the perception of debt being bad is actually a falsehood if it's used for generating wealth without risking too much. So learning and understanding the market is key whenever it comes to good debt. Now, on that note, keep in mind that there is some caution and some risk to good debt. For example, your notorious Dave Ramsey actually went bankrupt when he borrowed too much money from the banks, and when they called it back, he couldn't pay it all back. So understand the risk whenever you go into debt, because there are circumstances to where they could call those loans back and you would be in big trouble. And that brings us to the last rule, which is rule number 5, the rule of multiple income streams. Now, to be very clear with you, relying on a 9-to-5 job is probably one of the biggest mistakes that most people make in trying to generate wealth. One of the primary reasons for that is that it makes you dependent on that one source of income. So if anything happens to that source of income, you're kind of in trouble. It also makes you less able to compromise with that company in terms of pay because you don't really have anything else to fall back on. The rule of multiple income streams is a rule that Elon Musk mastered. He is now the owner of SpaceX, Starlink, Tesla, Neuralink, The Boring Company, and Twitter, with many more plans in his arsenal to expand his income streams. And he does this by founding a company and reinvesting the revenues earned from that company to start another, and then creates more wealth. It's like letting your money work for you to create more money. The millennials and Gen Z are catching on to the idea of multiple streams of income. Their presence on social media, they're starting marketing agencies online, they're earning money through sponsorships, affiliate marketing, renting properties, and creating a Shopify store, all while investing and earning money through dividends. I mean, guys, there's so many additional ways how to make money out there. All you need to do is focus on like one and then maybe two, and then go with it, and then put in everything you've got. And remember that it takes a lot of time initially, but it's all worth the payout in the end. It'll save you a lifetime of savings towards a retirement that you'll hardly get to enjoy at the end of your life. And instead, you'll be able to enjoy it during most of your life. The goal with this rule is to diversify your income stream so that you're not relying heavily on that one source of income. Remember that whenever you're dependent on one job, that company can do whatever they like and you have to succumb to their wishes without really any compromise on their part. So the more diversified your streams become, the more financially secure you become, and the more risk that you can take in creating businesses because you know that you have funds to fall back on. So that's all my rules for the day, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like I said, please like this video, subscribe. It will help the algorithm to get this video out to more people so that more people can kind of get out of this inflation hole that our nation's currently in. So anyways, with that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.